Good morning. Today I'm going to present on latent TB infection. So, brief background. Latent TB is a state of persistent immune response to stimulation by Mycobacterium tuberculosis antigens with no evidence of clinically manifest active TB. So, there is no gold standard test for the diagnosis of latent TB infection. So, the prevention of active TB disease by treatment of latent TB infections which are detected is a critical component of the WHO NTB strategy. So, the current efficacy of available treatment ranges from 60 to 90% based on different studies. Why we are treating this is because the lifetime risk of progression from latent infections to active TB is between 5 to 10%, and the most the high risk group belongs to children less than 5 years and immunocompromised status of patients who are being started on immunosuppressive therapies. So when we look at immunocompromised status, of chief concern is the PLHIV population. In the PLHIV population, 1/3 of HIV deaths is because of TB. And among this subset of people, 21 they are 21 times more likely to develop active TB. So studies have shown that treatment of latent TB infections actually reduce the overall risk for active TB by 33%. And this protective effect was seen to last for more than 5 years. So this is the National Strategic Plan by the RITCP. So 2017 to 2025, the plan that was made and published in 2016, they have defined these risk groups as PLHIV, child PTB contacts, patients with silicosis, and all patients So all patients, patients with silicosis, all patients are considered high risk when they are on immunosuppressive therapy, high risk adult contacts. So this is the flow chart which is given in the WHO consolidated guidelines. So for the this is the algorithm for the targeted diagnosis and treatment of latent TB infection. So first, when any of the individuals from this risk group comes, we have to ask for symptoms of tuberculosis. So if there is no symptoms of active TB, then we do a TST or a interferon gamma release assay. So either it is positive or negative. If it is positive, we do a chest radiograph. And if there is any abnormality, we go back to investigating for other diseases as well as active TB. There is no abnormality, we treat for latent TB. So the testing is by tuberculin skin test or IGRA. But the caveat here is that neither can differentiate between latent TB infection and active TB. So it's been seen that when we do the test, the PLHIV subset who have a positive test for latent TB benefit more from a preventive therapy than those who have a negative latent TB test. So and also it is seen that this testing is not a requirement for initiating therapy in PLHIV or child household contacts aged less than 5 years. So going over to tuberculin skin test, it's a very simple test to perform. We know that we put PPD in the polar aspect of the forearm and look for induration after 48 to 72 hours. So this is the test is based on detection of cell-mediated immunity to Mycobacterium tuberculosis through delayed type hypersensitivity reaction using PPD. So, the intradermal injection of 0.1 ml of PPD, that is 5 tuberculin units, is given into the volar surface of the forearm. It is indicated only for persons who are at highest risk for TB, and this discouraged for those who are at low risk. So this is a statement from Tomans that excluding community surveys, decision to administer a tuberculin test is a decision to treat if latent TB infection is found, irrespective of the age of the person tested. Going over to interferon gamma release assays, it's an in vitro test. Again, it's a T cell based assay that, but it measures the interferon gamma which is released by sensitized T cells in response to these MTB antigens. So we have two commercially available tests. One is QuantiFERON TB Gold, which is gold in tube, and T-spot test. So there is the benefit of the
Sister, ask.
The IGRA is that there is no cross-reactivity with BCG, and minimal cross-reactivity is there with NT. So differences, if you see between these two tests, are the processing time is around between QuantiFERON Gold and the T-spot test is that it processes whole blood within 16 hours in QuantiFERON Gold, and T-spot test, it processes the peripheral blood mononuclear cells within 8 hours. So if a variant like T-cell extend is used, it takes 30 hours to perform the test. So mixture of peptides which are used is MTB antigens like ESAT6, CFP10, and TB7.7 in QFT, and ESAT6 and CFP10 in the synthetic peptides in T-spot test. So the benefit of using these antigens is that it's very specific for the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and there is very less cross-reactivity here. So in QFT, we are seeing the interferon gamma concentration, and T-spot basically detects the interferon gamma producing cells. So it appears, it lights up as spots in the when the final test result is seen. So the varied types of results that can be obtained are positive, negative, indeterminate, and in T-spot tests, borderline and invalid results. So going over to the guidelines for specific subset populations as given by the WHO. So HIV negative households of pulmonary tuberculosis, for children less than 5 years of age, WHO says treat according to the local guidelines. So according to RNPCP, the guideline laid down is to give isoniazid monotherapy 10 mg per kg for 6 months. They have said and they have subdivided it into a low incidence and high incidence countries. So low incidence countries refers to countries which have an incidence of less than 100 per 100,000 population. So they have said in low incidence countries, to test and treat for latent TB infection, and in high incidence countries, we can test for latent TB infection, and the recommendation is the TB preventive treatment may be given. So conditional recommendation, which is a new recommendation added in this subset of population in the latest guidelines in 2018. In other HIV negative at-risk groups, so the recommendations have divided it into the strongly recommendation, strong recommendation, conditional recommendation, and not recommended. So the groups that are strongly recommended to be tested are the patients who are going to receive the anti-TNF treatment, the dialysis patients, pre-organ or hematological transplant patients, and silicosis patients. And the conditional recommendation is for in low incidence countries, if there are immigrants who are coming from high burden countries, homeless people, and for drug abusers. Where it is not recommended, when it's a HIV negative at-risk group, is diabetics, alcohol users, smokers, and underweight. the quality of these evidences are quite low in all these subgroups. The algorithm for PLHIV is, again, when patients who come to us are adults or adolescents living with HIV, or children aged more than 12 months living with HIV, follows the same algorithm. So if we screen them clinically with whether they have symptoms or not. So if they have no symptoms, we assess if there is any contraindications for preventive therapy. And if there are contraindications, we defer the preventive therapy. If no contraindications are there, we give preventive therapy. We said that there is a benefit of preventing TB-related deaths in PLHIV if we are giving them preventive therapy. So, if there are symptoms of cough, fever, weight loss, night sweats, and in children, lack of weight gain, we will investigate for TB and other TB diseases. And if it is TB, we treat for TB. And if it is going to other diagnoses, we give appropriate treatment and consider giving preventive treatment. Patients on PLHIV patients. So for children who infants and children living with PLHIV, they have age-wise they have made a cutoff. Less than 12 months with the TB contact, treatment will give for all subsets. All these subsets we are giving treatment, isoniazid monotherapy for 6 months, and the recommendation is strong recommendation to give treatment. The only caveat that we looked earlier was that less than 5 years, we don't really have to test for latent TB infection, and we can give, because there is evidence to suggest that there is a benefit to prevent TB progression. So if other than these two subsets, all ages who have completed treatment for TB also, we can give them isoniazid preventive therapy for 6 months, but it's a conditional recommendation. Now, HIV negative household contacts more than 5 years and at-risk group, if they are well, preventive treatment to be given. And if symptomatic, we'll evaluate for TB diseases and treat accordingly. So treatment that is given by, recommended by in the WHO consultative guidelines is isoniazid monotherapy for 6 months for treatment of in both adults and children in high and low incidence countries. So the treatment has been seen to reduce risk of progression by 60%. The alternate treatment regimens that is given is rifampicin with isoniazid daily for 3 months, and that is for people aged less than 50. And rifampicin plus isoniazid, this is a weekly regimen of rifampicin for 3 months for age more than 15 years. So when there is HIV co-infection, what we have to remember is that treatment should be given for individuals irrespective of the degree of immunosuppression, and also to those who are on ART therapy and who have been previously treated for TB. So this is a strong recommendation with high quality evidence for this for people with PLHIV. So now just few words on the ATS-ITSA CDC guidelines, which was in 2016. So we all latent TB, there were multiple guidelines, so they have consolidated. WHO has consolidated and given us a good document in 2018. So ATS, what some specific highlights is that they recommend using IGRA over TST. In WHO, we can use either of the and the caveat they have given is TST is to be used only if IGRA is not available or too costly or too burdensome. So here they have given a flow chart, which is from a study published in NEJM in 2011. where the testing strategy should take into account groups with high likelihood of infection with TB and the risk of developing TB if infected. So they have divided it into likely to be infected with a low to intermediate risk of progression, likely to be infected with a high risk of progression, and unlikely to be infected. But here, and also the difference between WHO and the ITSA statement is that the definition of high burden is also a little different, because in WHO it is more than 100 per 100,000, and in ATS is more than 20 they have taken as a high burden state. So likely to be infected with high risk of progression, they have given that you acceptable test either IGRA or PST can be used, and when it is low to intermediate risk of progression, IGRA wherever is available. So in general, they have put a statement saying that IGRA is more preferred than PST. So take-home messages, both testing can be done by either of PST or IGRA or both, and any test that we choose cannot differentiate between latent TB and active TB, and there is no gold standard test. The efficacy of current treatment regimens varies between 60 to 90%.